Oh,
All right.
yeah.
Yeah, we are live, everybody. Welcome to another weekly reject show. How are you guys doing? Nick and Cody, and my wife will be in a minute.
Um, do it. I've been having a pretty busy week. So, but, Cody and Chris, the little hand, says it's time to rock and roll.
Yes, yes. Well, if you didn't catch the reference, okay, we are continuing with Women's Month, but we are covering two really kick-ass movies this week, which I think are just really awesome, and that is Point Break and Lords of Dogtown.
Actually, I'm kind of excited about talking about Point Break because this week was my very first time watching it.
Yeah, you messaged the group chat when you were watching it, and actually, Nick, we were watching it at the same time because I was kind of just a little bit ahead of you
Yeah.
when you were messaging it, and you mentioned you're a fan or you like Kathrine Bigelow because I know Strange Days is one of your favorite movies.
It is, yes.
So, what did you think? Because I think this success of this movie is what got Strange Days greenlit.
Yeah. And I I do like most of it. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of didn't like the ending, but really, what other way was there to actually end the movie?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say this again. I've said it a lot, and I'll keep saying it. And I'm not trying to show any disrespect towards this film or the franchise that it became, because I think it does a lot of good, especially by making diverse casts
Hmm.
normalized in Hollywood blockbusters. But the first Fast and the Furious film is this movie. It's just racing instead of surfing.
You know
It's it's the exact same plot. It's pretty similar.
that that makes a lot of sense. Actually, I think I remember a long time ago somebody called it Point Break with cars.
Yeah.
I still prefer Point Break over Fast and the Furious,
Oh,
though.
I was not saying it was better than Point Break. I was just trying to say I wasn't trying to like disrespect, because the Fast and the Furious movies, while I'm not a huge fan, I recognize what it's done for Hollywood, and I think that's a good thing.
Well,
But this movie rules.
yeah, and as I can I can tell you the Fast and the Furious, yeah, the first couple Fast and the Furious movies, they were okay. They just took themselves too seriously, and the movie franchise got a lot better when they just stopped doing that.
I agree. I prefer the 5, 6, and 7 of the
Like,
franchise.
yeah, it's like 7 and beyond. I haven't seen the one where they're supposed to go into space.
That was the last one.
Yeah. But
Yeah, the only. Go ahead.
I did see Hobbs and Shaw though.
Yeah, Idris Elba was the best part of that for me.
Idris Elba is the best part of, well, any movie. Like, I rewatched Thor, and yep, Idris Elba is Heimdall.
I think the only big difference besides, there's no bank robbery and it's about cars, is in
Hmm.
Fast and the Furious, the Paul Walker character is already experienced as a race car driver, whereas Keanu has
That,
to learn to become
yeah,
a surfer.
yeah. Ugh. Yeah, there is that, which is also kind of funny. I follow his daughter on Instagram.
Keanu Reeves?
Oh no, Paul Walker.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say I didn't think Keanu Reeves had children.
No, no, no. Um, yeah, Paul Walker had a daughter, and yeah, I just started following her on Instagram. Like, it's not like it's basically just model shit.
Ah,
Yeah. So, yeah, Keanu Reeves learning how to surf, and really, Lori Petty is the love interest. I've never really like I've seen her in Tank Girl, I've seen her in A League of Her Own, and a lot of well, actually, no, she was the love interest in the Army Now with Pauly
mm-hmm.
Shore
Yes, she was.
and Andy Dick. God damn him.
But we talked about Tank Girl last week, and we've talked A League of Their Own. I was listening to a podcast recently that was like, she was in a lot of things, and then she wasn't, and it seems like she worked well with these movies directed by women, because Tank Girl and A League of Their Own were also directed by women, as is Point Break.
Yeah. It's, well, acting, I guess the Hollywood acting scene is very, very fickle. I mean,
especially towards women.
Yeah, the biggest examples I can think of right now are Brendan Fraser and Ki Hai Kwan. Like, they weren't in stuff for, they weren't in stuff for years. I mean, Fraser, because, he had to have a whole bunch of surgeries because doing all those stunts kind of wrecked his body.
Mm-hmm.
And Ki Hai Kwan just couldn't get he could not get work. Because there weren't all that many Asian roles out there.
Yeah.
But then they both started making these comebacks and just put out a role where they just knocked it out of the park. I haven't seen The Whale yet, but I do want to see him in Doom Patrol. I want to see how he is in that one.
Oh, he's great. He's great in Doom Patrol.
And kind of going back to Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves, and to going back to this movie, I want to kind of talk about their chemistry. Like, they really worked well against each other.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting, and I don't know if we would have gotten this had a man directed this movie. Maybe we would have, but because Ridley Scott was originally attached to this, and Kathrine Bigelow and Ridley Scott switched projects, and he went on to do Thelma and Louise, and she did this movie. But I think the thing Bigelow brings to these macho action movies is she shows a vulnerability to masculinity that you normally don't get in these type of movies, especially with the chemistry you're talking about between Swayze and Keanu Reeves. Like, is it just mutual respect for each other, or is it a friendship?
Are they
more than friend? Yeah.
Are they flirting with each other?
I guess there's sexual tension between Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, which it's kind of a running joke that there's a lot of I don't even want to say subtle, but sublimated homoeroticism in a lot of male-oriented action movies. Another one that comes to mind is Rocky 3, like the chemistry between Rocky and Apollo, and then that scene where they're just like they're racing on a beach, and like they're hugging each other.
Hold on.
Yeah.
There.
Hey.
Oh, welcome back.
And of course, Top Gun too, as far as those type of movies.
Oh yeah, just volleyball game out of nowhere. Oh,
darn.
And I actually watched that movie all the way. Not recently, but a few years ago. Like, I just, as a kid, I just really paid attention to the dogfight scenes.
Sorry,
all right.
Be straight up hitting the wrong button again. I put the phone down here. So.
It's all good.
Yeah.
But on top of Bigelow's unique direction for this movie just got amazing action sequences, like the bank robbery stuff we see in this movie. It's been ripped off by other action movies.
Well, actually, speaking of ripping off, like one of the first references I've heard to Point Break was in Hot Fuzz. Hold on for a second. Ugh. There we go.
Well, yeah, not only do they watch the movie, they reenact that whole chase sequence and the scene where he shoots the gun up in the air.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really kind of the... Well, here's the thing. In Hot Fuzz, there's this whole scene where Nick Frost asks Simon Pegg questions about action movies. Like, you ever fired 2 guns jumping in the air? And fired a gun jumping in the air? You ever fired a gun while driving a car? And then, in that whole third act, everything pays off. Because everything he asks him, he does. Except the shooting gun in the air and screaming. Because Nick Frost did.
Yeah.
But, and also another scene, another part that was homaged in Hot Fuzz was where the scene where Anthony Kiedis gets shot in the foot.
Yeah.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah. Also, he plays it's like Anthony Kiedis plays a really convincing asshole.
Yeah, he's a scuzzbuzz. I guess they're like some sort of Nazi meth heads. And R.I.P. Tom Sizemore. Great scene where they raid those guys because they think they're the bank robbers. And it turns out Tom Sizemore was an undercover DEA agent trying to bust him. He's like, "You think I like this haircut? You think I like wearing these clothes?"
Well, that was that's one of those things where you roll your eyes and just kind of make you just wonder, it's like, why is there so much of the right hand doesn't know what the left is doing in these cases? Like, hey, it's like, at least have some kind of like network going on between at least the heads of the different agencies, saying, hey, we're infiltrating this group, don't bust them.
Right.
All right.
But also, the it's like Dr. I forget the actor's name. All I know him is Dr. Cox from Scrubs.
John C. McGinley.
Yeah.
Perfect asshole. Which
Yes.
I'm going to say, he's probably not that good at his job of being the director at the of the bank robbery, whatever Los Angeles office of the FBI.
Yeah, it's first of all, it's kind of of course, I guess it's too late for a spoiler warning, right? Also,
Yeah.
the movie that is 32 years old.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, so that third act scene where they do the bank robbery and they force Keanu Reeves to do it without a mask. Like, he would have had any normal person would have at least asked if he was under duress while doing this, but then again, Dr. Cox just couldn't. He was just waiting for an excuse to fire him.
Yeah, he didn't like him from the get-go because he's, this ex-football star who did well in training, and he's like, I don't want you hot shot coming in here. And all
the general bullshit action movie tropes where the chief doesn't like the new recruit.
Right.
Yeah, and he gets stuck with the grizzled veteran played by Gary Busey.
I was gonna say, this is Gary Busey. Would you say he had that right mix of sanity and insanity?
Yeah, it's right on the verge, right? Like he does crazy stuff like, I want 3 meatball sandwiches and
Well, if they're good, hey, you know what? I'm a big eater too, so I'm not gonna knock them for that. Like I've been getting the 2 for $6 at Wendy's and eating 20 nuggets at a time.
Man, I was just more amazed by how little his bill was. For 3 sandwiches and 2 lemonades, it was like $8.
Oh
I
my!
just looked and said the
Oh
same
God!
thing.
I definitely miss those days.
I was like, that'd be like $30 now.
Yeah, one of many reasons G and I started cooking again.
Oh yeah.
If I wanted to spend $30 for a meal and not go to someplace like Applebee's, it's like actually I was gonna say if I wanted to spend $30 for a meal, I'd go to Applebee's or something.
All right.
But yeah, Nick, I think you're right. It's right on the verge of it's sane enough that you sympathize and you like him, but just enough of that crazy ass Gary Busey we all know.
Oh yeah, and I think I'm getting a few hints at seeing when I see Jake Busey at work. It's like he is his father's son. But
Yeah.
the funny thing is, I think I mentioned this when we discussed the Frighteners. When I saw Jake Busey, I honestly thought he was Gary.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I just saw a preview with a movie coming out with Scott Conn, and
Oh wow.
there were shots in that trailer where I was like, "Holy cow, he looks just like James Conn." I mean,
Wait a minute,
he's
Scott,
just
as
a
in
spitting image of his dad.
dang, yes. A lot of times, apples don't really fall that far from the tree.
Well, if we're talking about actors who look just like their dad, I forget the kid's name. He's James Gandolfini's son. When I saw that trailer for the Sopranos movie,
Oh yeah, yeah.
I was like, how'd they get a young guy that looks like him? And then I looked it up. I'm like, oh, it's his son.
yeah.
I was like,
He was so good in that.
I was like, well, no wonder he looks just like him.
So
Yeah.
for that movie, would I need to have watched The Sopranos to get it?
You wouldn't have to watch the whole series, but you would need to at least seen an episode, I think.
Yeah.
I would actually watch the movie first and then go into the series.
It is a prequel.
Yeah. Yeah, because I remember there was that.
When things pop up in the series, you'll be like, "Oh, okay, I remember that from the movie. I know what they're talking about."
And actually, I just remember how people were kind of up in arms about the Sopranos kind of non-ending, and how basically the creator of the show has kept mum about it.
Oh, he's dead. Sorry.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. Tony's dead. That's how it was discussed. And matter of fact, I think Chase came around and actually clarified that, he died. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you ever watch BoJack Horseman, though, there is a pretty funny gag about how the ending of The Sopranos was why it was.
Yeah, and I just remember, well, they probably couldn't do it because, of course, not too long after the series ended, we lost James Gandolfini.
Yeah, a few years later.
Yeah.
Yeah. That dude was brilliant. That dude was such a great.
Yeah.
I know he strayed, but yeah, Sopranos is excellent. If you decide to watch the whole.
I might give it a shot. They're
such horrible people that you can't help but watch. It's great from beginning to end.
Honestly, around that time, I was really into 6 Feet Under.
Yeah,
That's another.
that
great
makes
show.
sense.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
But
of course, I have the whole series on DVD.
nice. Well, I think this movie is awesome.
Yep.
I think
Yes, I agree.
Ex-Presidents is a cool name for a bank robbery gang. I like that
Yeah.
they wear the mask. Yeah.
Okay. Have any of you seen the remake?
No.
no,
Okay.
and I don't really. And I watched the remake of Red Dawn, and I was like, I don't know. I think I'm just gonna kind of like, you know.
Just skip that one.
So when this one came out, I was like, you know.
Well, I guess it must not have done all that. Well, of course, it fell under the radar, so it probably
Right.
is
Look,
just.
if you out there, if you watch it or you want to watch it or you like it, no shame at all. There is no.
Yeah.
We don't believe in bad movies or guilty pleasures. I'm just saying that I had no interest in, in checking it out. And who
Yeah.
knows?
Same.
Yeah, and Chris, you talk about guilty pleasure movies. Yeah, you were posting about the Police Academy movies being released, and shit, that was my favorite. That was like one of my favorite franchises as a kid.
Oh, same here. Yeah, like
Well, mainly because
they just became live action cartoons toward later on.
yeah, I'd say it ended up that way around Police Academy 4.
Well,
Yeah, I think after Steve Gutenberg left, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
4 was when it hit peak cartoon, and then we had Police Academy the cartoon.
Oh yeah.
well, the Point Break remake has 11% by critics on Rotten Tomatoes and 29% by the audience.
Oh,
Yeah.
so the audience liked it, but not by that much.
Nope. And there's no need to remake this movie because this movie rules, and there's very few people who direct action better than Kathrine Bigelow.
Yeah, I'm gonna look. I'm gonna look this up myself. See, break. Oh, come on. Point Break 2015. Okay. I do not. This is all a bunch of unknowns.
I think Delroy Lindo's in it as the Gary Busey role, maybe.
And, well, I mean, Ray Winstone, that's the only.
Oh, yeah, Ray Winstone's in it. Yeah, I don't know who the guy is playing the Keanu part.
Luke Bracey. I'm.
Edgar Ramirez is playing the Swayze role. I'm trying to think. He's been in a few things.
No man. Hey.
What? Oh, sorry. 1 second.
Yeah, but the original one is a great action movie. One of Keanu's best is, I guess, his first action movie.
Yeah,
But
this is pre-Speed. So
yeah,
this is kind of like we got a taste of what an action star he was going to kind of turn into with this. I think
yeah, but I don't think he set out to be an action star because he did try to do other things. But this seems to be the genre that works best for him.
Are you talking about Patrick Swayze? Because I got.
I was.
I was posed with a very important question. Do I want to eat my spouse's cherry pie?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
See, here it is. Tastes so good, make a grown man cry.
Man.
We were actually talking about Keanu, but speaking of the Swayze, I would say he's kind of similar. I don't know. I know he did sing, but I'd say he's kind of similar to Hugh Jackman, where he kind of totes the line of being very macho, but can also sing and dance.
Oh yeah. Well, in this,
He's his mom owned a dance studio in Houston.
Yeah.
And he grew up dancing, and he's a classically trained ballet dancer, from what I understand.
Yes, he is.
So yeah,
But
I mean,
he's not a guy you'd make fun of for being a ballerina, though.
Yeah.
no way. Look up his Pabst Blue Ribbon commercial, and you get to see him dance and do his commercial thing. But you're right.
Is it going to be like that? Is it going to be like that one McDonald's commercial with Jason Alexander, and all of a sudden he just starts doing this big song and dance?
From what I remember, he doesn't speak. It's just him like getting ready and going out on the town with a couple of ladies, and they're kind of dancing to the discotheque. And this is back when Pabst was still considered like
the beer.
Yeah, it was still a really popular beer, and you still see commercials. And
is it a 70s commercial?
Well, it's probably late 70s, early 80s is my guess. But
yeah,
you can find it
Patrick Swayze is older than people think he was. Like, he was almost 40 doing Point Break.
Yeah,
dang.
Yeah.
See, it's funny because I typed in Patrick Swayze on YouTube, and the first result I got was "She's Like a Wind," and I completely forgot he sings a song. He actually made a record.
Oh
yeah.
In that, I remember that song getting airplay too.
Well, again, that's what Cody said. It makes him like a prototype to like Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
He can sing, he can dance, but he's also macho and can kick your ass. I mean, look at Hugh Jackman. Sing, dance, fucking Wolverine.
Yeah, and it's also, well, here's one of the things about being involved in theater. You kind of have to be a triple threat. I mean, most people, they see you as an actor, and like a lot of people who are actors also are trained as singers and musicians and dancers. It's like look at Christopher Walken and that. It's like the
video, the Fat Boy Slim video, Weapon of Choice. Yeah,
yes, that what this. Yeah, the whole thing is just him dancing around, and he's good.
I just found that in 4K. They just released that in 4K on YouTube.
Really?
They upscaled it and like cleaned it up, and it's so gorgeous. It's great. I just stumbled across it yesterday. That's funny that you brought that up.
Okay, I am watching this commercial right now.
Oh, it's the Pabst Blue Ribbon. You know what's funny? I bought a 6-pack of Pabst the other day for some just odd reason. I was like, I'm on a whim. I was like, I don't pick up Pabst.
I don't think I've ever had Pabst Blue Ribbon.
It's all right.
Yeah, it's a good cheapo beer.
Yeah.
I prefer Pabst and Lone Star are two really, like, if you need to save a couple of bucks but you really want a brewski, pick up a Lone Star or a Pabst.
Oh, he's disco dancing.
It's a good grandpa beer.
Actually, I was going to say it's a hipster beer.
Well, I mean, it might be hipster now because that's what it thinks of me is like. That's your Papa's beer or something.
Oh.
And it beats. I'm going to be one of those snobs, but it beats light beer in my opinion. I'm not a light beer person.
Well, anything really beats light beer.
I mean, I like some blondes, and if I'm offered a light beer, sure, I'll drink it. But if I'm buying, I do prefer other beers.
All right. I've seen the commercial. My life is richer having seen it. Just to see Patrick Swayze disco dancing.
Didn't they pour the beer in like champagne glasses?
Not champagne glasses, but one of those, I guess beer stein.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a glass beer stein. It's like definitely not the kind of beer I'd probably be drinking on Oktoberfest.
So
Yeah, no, it's not an Oktoberfest beer.
Yeah.
I am drinking a Fredonia Brewery blueberry cream beer.
Oh, wow. How is
Oh.
it?
Blueberry. I like it. It's great. It's
Hey, that's brewed right here in Nacogdoches.
yeah.
Wow.
That's why I picked it up. It's hoppy, but it's the aftertaste has a really has an actual blueberry taste. I'm enjoying it.
I have lost count of how many bars in just Arlington have that are basically just local, that have all local brews.
That's good though. I'm
Yeah.
glad there's so much more variety out there, and so many new things to try.
Well, yeah, and it's been a while since, like, every now and then I'll still like I'll try an IPA.
I love IPAs.
Hmm.
And I get made fun of it because, IPA bros, but I really think they taste great.
So going back to the
Yeah.
going back to Point Break, I was looking at the lead actor for the remake, and a lot of the stuff that he's in was basically a lot of male leads in romantic comedies.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I think at the time they weren't sure Keanu was going to be an action lead, but I mean, come on, who do you cast at that time as a surfer cop?
Yeah. Not only that, well, it really got solidified once The Matrix came out.
Yeah, for sure. I think Speed definitely helped, but I think he had some more career bumps
Yeah.
between Speed and The Matrix, and now, he's got John Wick, so everybody just loves Keanu now, and now he's just doing what he does.
Yeah. I still need to see Bill and Ted Face the Music, though.
Oh, it's so good.
That is... yeah,
Such a
that is-
sweet movie.
That is. I almost cried at the end of that movie. Not gonna lie.
Okay, I'll probably catch it this weekend. This week has just been kind of hitting the ground sprinting, not just running, sprinting.
Oh, I hear you.
Yeah, it's like it's hard to believe that today's already Thursday.
Well, I'm gonna hijack this and dad joke it and sprint over into Lords of Dogtown.
Well, let's do it. But Point Break rules. If you've never seen it before, check it out. It
I
might be
concur.
very 90s and bro-y, but it kicks ass. And if you love Keanu Reeves, you'll like it.
It'll make you want to go outside and shoot your gun into the air and scream.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't actually do that. It'll make you want to do that.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, it's kind of funny because I remember the MythBusters did an episode about shooting your gun into the air, and it was the only myth that got busted, confirmed, and is plausible all at the same time.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of Hot Fuzz, Edgar Wright actually went around double featuring Point Break and Bad Boys 2, and he
Wow.
learned that you should show the longer movie first because everyone was enjoying Point Break, and then people were falling asleep during Bad Boys 2.
Yeah, but the thing is, also, Bad Boys 2 came out about a good 5 years after people stopped caring. When it first came out, it was it was the hot shit, and Will Smith and Martin Lawrence were huge action stars. Like, it was one of the things that codified Big Willie Weekend.
Yeah.
But
That being said, the third one's actually pretty good.
I'll check it out. I've only seen Bad Boys 2 once. Like, most Michael Bay movies I've only seen once. And that's all I needed.
That's all you need for your eyes.
Yeah.
I've not seen any of those films.
Like,
Not even the first one?
Not even the first one. So
Wow.
maybe I need to remedy that. I need to watch the Bad Boys trilogy, but Mija.
yeah. So Lords of Dogtown. I rented this years ago. I think this was back when Hastings was still in business.
That's
Yeah,
actually when I bought my copy. I bought the 2-disc unrated version of this film, which
And
is just like a couple of extra minutes of extended, and it's nothing juicy. There's no nudity. I don't know why it's unrated, but
probably to get more people to buy it.
yeah, I bought it used, but
Yeah.
uh,
Because they
I
think,
I
Oh.
love this film. I watched the documentary way back in the day when I was going to JBC, Jacksonville Baptist College. I remember getting up one day and my mom and dad had gone to work and my little brother and sister had gone to school, and it was like freezing, and I was like, you know what? I'm staying in today. Like I'm gonna skip class. Which kids, please don't do that. Like go to school, you know.
yes.
But anyway, I decided to stay in. It was horrible outside, and I remember catching this documentary on Stars, and I absolutely loved it. I was like, wow, that's a cool documentary. I loved the music. I thought it was cool, kind of seeing the birth of, I guess, modern skateboarding and whatnot. I don't know. I just thought it was really cool. So fast forward years later, what, 2004, I think, 2003, 2004,
5.
five.
And I think the documentary had come out in 2002, I believe.
Yeah, 2002. And
And
I was like, oh wow, they made a movie on that documentary I really loved. And I went back twice in 1 week to see this movie when it came out. Like, I thought it was just awesome and well done and well made. But I'll stop gushing over this movie and let y'all talk about it.
Yeah, actually, it was better than I was expecting. But again, I rented this movie not knowing what it's like. I was kind of going into it blind. I sometimes have this thing where, well, back when movies were rentable, I would just pick one at random and just see what it's like. And Lords of Dogtown was the winner that day, and it's kind of funny how much it mirrored a basically a rock star's rise to stardom. Like they fell into all these like, I guess, skating innovations kind of by accident, and it just happened to be just dumb luck that people couldn't fill their swimming pools because California announced a drought.
Right.
Yeah. I actually watched this for the first time this past weekend. I had never seen this movie before. I knew about the documentary. I remember it got rave reviews, never watched it. And then I remember David Fincher was attached to direct this movie for a while. And I guess he stayed on as executive producer because his name is listed in the credits. But Catherine Hardwick ended up directing it. And yeah, it's a cool movie. And Nick, you're right, it does have like the similar traits, like even with like their ups and downs, like one of the Emil Hirsch characters starts getting into drugs and
Of course.
hanging out with the wrong crowd, and then one guy gets too famous and too big for his britches kind of scenario, and then the one guy who seems to have like just natural talent seems to go pretty far high up on the and the success rate. And I'll tell you another thing, because this is the one thing I remember, because I think this movie got mixed reviews when it came out and didn't do that great financially. But I remember a lot of people praising Heath Ledger's performance in the movie, and I actually heard a bit of the Joker in this performance, even though this is 3 years before The Dark Knight. but like there were parts of
Yeah.
his voice that sounded similar to what he did with the Joker.
Yeah, and
Mm.
he sounds just like the actual guy, Skip Anglem. Uh, there is you can go to YouTube. There is someone took the actual making of the movie. It's about 30 minutes long. You can watch
Mhm.
it. It's off of the DVD. So you get to see how they made the movie. You get to see the actual the guys that were involved with it, who actually taught the actors how to skate and put them through training. And Tony Alva, like all three of the guys were there on hand. And Skip Anglem, they rebuilt his shop like down to the T. They dug up the actual dog bowl and re-cemented and plastered it. So the dog bowl that they skate in at the end of the movie is the actual swimming pool that those kids skated in.
Oh
And
wow.
the documentary style that she used really mimics the documentary. So I like, if you liked the movie, I really highly recommend the documentary because it just adds so much more to it. But on top of that, this has a killer soundtrack. I mean, this
Yep.
is stuff that I grew up listening to with my dad, and uh, it was just awesome. I loved it. The music is one of the best parts to me.
Yeah, this is a really interesting and fun movie. I'd say if the one thing Point Break has over this movie with just pairing these two is Point Break at least had a more interesting female character, but that's also because this movie's based on a true story and it's about these boys' lives, so we're not really going to focus on the female characters as much.
I totally forgot to mention Lori Petty, and I was gonna say give it up to her for being awesome in this in Point Break, because
Yeah.
we just covered Tank Girl last week.
Which Catherine Hardwick, the director of this movie, was the production designer of Tank Girl. So I guess that's what she started out in the business is. And then she directed a movie with Holly Hunter and Evan Rachel Wood called 13 that got a lot of praise. And then ended up directing this movie. But she's probably most famous known for directing the first Twilight movie.
Uh. Well, dang.
Wah, wah.
Well,
You know what? There
well,
are
actually,
people
what I
who,
heard, she actually did the best that she could with it. I mean, heck, there was an adaptation of Stephanie Meyer's other book, The Host, and
Oh, yeah.
they got Andrew Niccol to direct that one, and not even he could make that movie work. And this is the guy who made Gattaca.
Mm. Yeah.
But uh, but yeah, there wasn't a lot of woman women presence in Lords of Dogtown, but I would say that's mainly because it's such a dude movie. I
Mm-hmm.
guess to put it lightly, because again, going back to uh, the Rockstar biopic connection. It's like, yeah, there were lots of women, but they were just those boys just hit it and quit it.
well, I think as far as I think one of the things that really drew me to this is not only like, okay, like the accuracy from the documentary, the scenes that they recreated for this, and having everyone involved with it. Because usually when you do an adaptation of someone's life,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of embellishment, and I mean, you can say based on a true story all you want, but when I watched this, I feel like there was a lot more truth and accuracy, and she really tried to replicate um, what was going on with in Dogtown and with the birth of that and with those guys and translating it onto screen and actually having them on set and getting them to skate the way that they skated and everything. I don't know. I just think that she did a really great job with it.
No, it's a well-directed movie. It's grimy, it's dirty. It feels almost like it's like a guerrilla-style documentary, like how it's shot.
Yeah,
Right.
agreed.
And I love that Tony Hawk shows up in a cameo and can't skateboard. And then it's even cool Johnny Knoxville has a part in this because, you know, not a skateboarder, but, you know, someone who does extreme stunts to himself.
Yeah, you know, have you seen the Tony Hawk? I'm not sure if it's his Twitter or his Tumblr, but it's all these stories where he's just going around in public now, and people barely recognize him.
Well, there's actually a great documentary, I think it's on HBO Max, about Tony Hawk.
Really?
Yeah, what is that called?
It's not Bones Brigade. Bones Brigade.
No, it's Until the Wheels Fall Off.
Oh,
cool.
which is also kind of funny because you know what Tony Hawk's screen debut was?
What's that?
Police Academy 4.
Oh, wow. Is he skateboarding in it?
Yes.
Nice.
Him and David Spade.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh, wow. David Spade.
First appearance too.
Yeah, that was his screen debut as well.
That's pre-Saturday Night Live for him.
Yeah. And he actually did a pretty good job. And with Tony Hawk, you know, all he did was skate, but he got an on-screen credit
as skateboarding extra. Hey, did you guys know he's the surfing stunt double for Peter Fonda on Escape from LA?
Really?
Who's that?
Tony Hawk.
Oh wow, nice.
Very nice. But yeah, I get like he's definitely made a name and a good living for himself, so I got to give him that.
And he manages not to be recognized anywhere he goes.
Yeah.
He's a cryptid Tony Hawk. We love him.
Actually, I was just talking about that, Lindsay, because I think it's on his Tumblr or his Twitter. He keeps telling these stories about how like people just can't recognize him, or they see his like driver's license. Oh, you mean like the like the skaters? Like, yes, that's me. Oh man, I really like this. It's like, yes, that's me. I am the guy.
That is my name and face, please.
G told me about it, and I found it rather hilarious.
Well, Lindsay, since you weren't in here earlier and you missed the Point Break, what did you think of Point Break?
I think that I forgot that I liked Point Break. Because I saw this movie a lot growing up, but the only thing I remember about it is the president masks and the bank heist part. But I love did a spoof of like Patrick Swayze's character kind of on SpongeBob one time. Unfortunately, it was voiced by Johnny Depp. But like that,
oh Lord!
Like your life is only as big as you make it. Really.
Also, I'd like to kind of point out how Patrick Swayze kind of starts out as, you know, this kind of calm, well, not calm, but, you know, really personable kind of guy. And by the end, he's like this complete douchebag who threw almost everyone under the bus.
Yeah, I mean, he pretty much like threw his whole crew for not just the score, but also to catch that big wave, you know.
Oh yeah, and then it's pretty much he's pretty much dead now.
Right.
Well, yeah, because he wasn't going to get arrested, so he's like, I'm just going to go out in a blaze of glory.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we are into Lords
Lords
of
of
Dogtown.
yeah.
What do you think of Lords of Dogtown?
Who doesn't love Heath Ledger pretending to have an accent? No, this is a really well-made movie, but it's because they got really good practice making the documentary so that people would buy the movie and make it.
Uh-huh.
And they nailed it. It's gorgeous. Like, maybe you didn't grow up on the streets of California beaches, but we've all had a Dogtown summer or two.
Yeah, mine was when I got my first apartment after getting out of the SFA dorms.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, I can't stress this enough. I really think the documentary just added so much more to the film.
It added more context.
More context, and again, like Cody, you mentioned the grittiness of it.
Mm-hmm.
They matched the grittiness of it. I don't know. They do such a great job, and I think another reason is because I'm a fan of this time period. Like, I like the music and the style and a lot of the bands, and it's not all of the culture, but some of the culture. I know it was really backwards back then.
Yeah.
Well,
I do like some of the aesthetic, and I think a lot of it had to do with growing up with my dad, who listened to that music, and I don't know. I thought it was really well done. Like, a really well done adaptation.
I think another thing it does is just shows us how old skateboarding is. I think a lot of people just think of skateboarding just magically appeared in the 80s. And this shows that it was at least a decade before, if not sooner. And I think it is kind of cool that these kids who were kind of mediocre surfers would go on to be like really great skateboarders.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
That's what they were saying is like they'd have to go out real early in the morning to catch all the good waves, and by 10 o'clock in the morning they would all be surfed out and the waves would die down, so they would have to do something else for the rest of the day, and that's where skateboarding came in. And like they did, like depicted in the movie, they were using these clay wheels, but when urethane wheels were introduced, they were able to like grab on to a lot of the slopes and everything, and they incorporated their surfing moves into their skateboarding, and it was different, and it was advanced, and they created new technique, and
it was like I was it was like I was saying earlier. It was just happening to. They just happened to be in the right place, the right time when the polyurethane wheels were invented, and they used the surfing techniques, and it just kind of exploded from there.
Yeah.
It revived skating, like skateboarding specifically, because that was like a 50s or 60s like kids toy.
Yeah, like a 60s thing.
It was just like, yeah, go outside, play with this.
Did they have it? Was it like the skateboard, or was it more like, because there's that whole gag in Back to the Future where they have like the little scooter thing, and he takes the handles off to make it a skateboard.
Were actual skateboards, but they were on the line as they were on the same level of like hula hoops and yo-yos and stuff. Like,
oh, okay.
They didn't even have plastic wheels yet.
Yeah, and they were just like, okay, they were considered a little kid's toy, and then they like in the midst. That was kind of like the early 60s, and then towards the mid to late 60s,
they started. It got a little serious with they had a few competitions and stuff, but then everyone lost interest. And then about the mid '70s, it starts popping up again, and everybody's doing all of these tricks and stuff that they were doing in the '60s, and it was just really bland, and everything was upright and kind of doing handstands and more on the safe side. And like they said, they recreated that competition, the Del Mar competition, like almost scene for scene because they filmed it. The photographer that they had at the time, and the footage is actually in the documentary, and they'll show you how accurate it was. They went in there and they were sliding around and doing these surf moves, and the judges didn't even know how to judge it. Like, it was like just so wild to them.
Sounds like Barbie and Ken doll, like style skateboarding beforehand.
Yeah.
Stand upright. We push the skateboard.
Everything was kind of khaki and Hawaiian shirts and or polo shirts and kind of preppy-ish. And they went in there, a bunch of poor kids.
They made it punk.
Yeah, basically they made it rock and roll, and they punked it up and went in there and like made it what it is today, basically. So.
Yeah, and speaking of trends and stuff, like I'm kind of not surprised that skateboarding was a thing in the '60s, but it really peaked in the '70s and '80s, but it kind of died down in the '90s. But when I was walking around the campus at UTA, I started seeing a lot of the kids like with skateboards.
Okay.
Like they were skating to class, so.
I don't know if any of you guys have been to Wells, Texas.
Is there a skateboarding cult now too to battle the Church of Wells? Because I would buy
a couple of different kids skateboarding. They have a pretty good sidewalks in Wells, believe it or not. They're small enough they can upkeep their sidewalks, I guess. But
I have been to Wells, and I have no idea what sidewalks you were talking about.
I'm going a dead end road and I pull out on the other side. I always see I've seen 2 or 3 different looking kids on skateboards that look like they're skateboarding home. And I was like, well, good for you little East Texas kids in this little peon town. You go.
Honeywood skateboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's a lot of these trends do tend to come in cycles, so because I seriously doubt that this will be something that'll truly go away forever. I mean,
no.
Yeah. So yeah. Can't really think of anything more to say.
Yeah, I think I really, it's a good movie. Check out the documentary, Dogtown and Zboys, kick-ass soundtrack. I think both of these movies are great, and I think they paired really well together, and I think they're both fun. And
who doesn't love him as Heath Ledger?
Yeah, man, you get Keanu and Heath in a back-to-back movie, like.
Yeah.
Boom. And look at the Catherine showing you how masculinity can be done. We can do it too.
That's right.
Yeah. So.
10 Things I Hate About You.
What about 10 Things I Hate About You?
It just speaking of Catherine's and Heath Ledger and
is that one of the characters' names in that?
Yes.
Is that Julia Stiles?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I couldn't remember what their names were, but I like that movie.
Oh, guys, since you mentioned Shakespeare, Lindsay, because 10 Things I Hate About You is
Taming of the Shrew.
True. So, I found out something rather interesting. So it's like the whole Gretchen Wiener's "We should totally stab Caesar" speech from Mean Girls, right?
Yes.
It is essentially a translation of Cassius' monologue from Julius Caesar.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Tina Fey.
Yeah, it's like kind of goes to show how smart Tina Fey is.
Sounds like her theater nerd coming out if she's
Right.
incorporating Shakespeare.
Uh-huh. So it's Julius Caesar Act 1, Scene 2.
Speaking of Caesar and when the Ides of March was, someone had posted a picture on Twitter of someone stabbing the back of a bottle of Caesar salad dressing.
Oh, I've seen that.
Pretty-
I've seen that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
While we're on here, real quick, Lindsay, we are doing musicals next week. Jessica picked Yentl with Barbara Streisand, and you need to pick. Would you like to do Mamma Mia, because it is directed by a woman, and you've been wanting to do it? We'll do Mamma Mia.
Maybe we will.
Do you want to? Yes or no? Or do you want to decide?
It came out. I don't know if I want to do it.
Okay, well,
maybe.
It's directed by a woman,
I don't know if I
and
want
it's
to
a
do
musical.
that to you guys, but I do love Meryl Streep
But you
and
know,
Amanda
we like to
Seyfried
go ahead
and all the gang.
we like to go ahead and line things out, because
Okay.
we wait till the last minute. So let's go ahead and
We'll see. Let me.
I
go
will.
back.
I will watch Mamma Mia.
The last time I tried to make a boy watch Mamma Mia, the movie theater caught on fire, so I've been a little bit hesitant about forcing people to like this movie as much as I do.
Well, you don't have to force us to like it, but we'll watch it.
I mean, let's be honest. This was like the movie itself was just an excuse for Meryl Streep to get all her friends and go to an awesome island locale.
Right?
Right.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it is pretty. That whole movie is pretty to look at, if nothing else.
Yeah. And of course, Amanda Seyfried.
Yeah,
Right.
of course. And,
Who is the same age as me, and she's still playing like young people.
she got that eternal thing.
So
Well,
actually, it's kind of funny. Like have you seen Red Riding Hood?
No.
With her in it, Catherine
Yes.
Hardwick directed that.
Yeah, that is okay. Red Riding Hood is basically the horniest game of Are You a Werewolf put to screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not great. It's but
No, it's like everybody.
Nick's not wrong.
It's everyone who's in it knows what it is, and I mean I like it.
I mean, that's true. Gary Oldman is not phoning his performance in.
Yeah.
Well, we will.
We'll take a look at several things and catch
It's
up.
for Women's Month. It needs to be. It's hard to find a musical directed by a woman, and it doesn't have to be a musical. Maybe one musical, and then another could be a.
I think everybody deserves a musical. Springtime is
Okay, then let's do. Then let's.
recognize spring. We just
What springtime for Hitler?
Yeah. Exactly.
If we did that one, I actually would prefer to talk about the Gene Wilder one instead of the musical version. Yeah.
Matthew Broderick.
I love
Oh,
this one.
have you seen any of History of the World Part 2?
I have not.
No, not yet. I want to
Yeah.
watch the first one and then the second one.
Wait, you haven't seen History of the World Part 1?
No,
I haven't.
It's just been a couple of years.
I was like,
It's been
dude,
years.
that is like quintessential Mel Brooks.
I mean, that's like young. If you see
New
it,
Yorkers in it. Like, there's so many good bits and bobs from that. It's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do you want to wait, or do you want to go ahead and do?
That's fine.
Okay, so Mamma Mia and Yentl tomorrow.
All
next
right,
week.
next week.
Yes.
All right.
Next week Thursday.
Two
Yes,
women-led
Thursday.
musicals, women-directed musicals.
Okay. Like before we totally sign off, I just want to share this bit. It's like this is Cassius's monologue. Why, man, he doth bestride the narrow world like a colossus, and we petty men walk under his huge legs and peep about to find ourselves dishonorable graves. Why should Caesar get to stomp around like a giant while the rest of us try not to get smushed under his big feet?
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, I found that out on the Ides of March.
Oh wow, cool.
Yeah. All right. So, hopefully, let's go out this weekend strong. Go out this week strong and enjoy the warmer weather.
Yes. Do you have anything director series wise coming up, Cody, this week?
Nothing this week or next week. We'll be doing Little Shop of Horrors whatever the next weekend in April is with Kevin.
All right.
Cool. And I know last week, Kay, we're doing a Star Trek episode. We had trouble finding out which one we wanted, but I turned on a DS9 two-parter, and it had a lot of January 6th undertones, and I think that's the one we're going to go with.
Are you talking about Paradise Lost and Homefront?
It's the kickoff of the Dominion War, or I'm sorry, where the changelings are on Earth.
And Starfleet almost does a coup d'etat of the Federation government.
Yes.
Those are the episodes I was talking about, and actually, those are my favorite episodes of DS9.
Well, hey, if we're gonna try to record here in the next couple of nights, if you're welcome to join in, because that's what we're going to discuss, and the undertones because we couldn't decide, and I watched that two-parter, and I'm like, wow, that has the undertones of January 6th. I think this is what we need to go with. So,
let me know when. I'll see if I can clear room in my schedule, because I'm starting to get a whole lot of busy. Because
I hear you. I tell you what, you just shoot me some dates, and we'll work around it. Because my evenings are pretty clear. So
one of the teacher's aides quit, and she is the only other aide who can do higher math.
Oh wow!
So now after Friday, I'm gonna be the only one left.
Oh man!
And they already started, there were moments when, they grabbed me from other classes just to, help out this one kid because they don't know algebra. Well, or they're bad at algebra.
Right.
Like, I happen to be better at it now than I was in high school, to the point to where I can come up with a pretty complex I came up with a pretty complex equation on the fly.
Nice.
Yeah. So
I still suck at it pretty
we'll
badly.
see. We'll see how that goes.
Well, hey man, good luck on that. You guys have a good week. Just shoot me some dates, like maybe sometimes in the evenings if you have a free time. Now, it's not going to be a long show. It'll be about 30 minutes, but I would like to discuss that because it's I found it pretty interesting.
Yeah, I am down. So I'll talk to you after the show.
Cool. All right, man.
All right.
Well, guys, good night. If you chimed in, we appreciate it. If you chime in later, we really appreciate it. And we will see you guys next week with 2 musicals.
Sing along, everybody.
Yeah, we're our big old sing along. So
Well, I might sound like Pierce Brosnan singing, so sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
That's okay. That's okay.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye bye.
Uh,